see how many people want it. If too many people, then there's no other go for lot system. Otherwise, if it's 4 or 5, we can accommodate that. The most important part is Swamiji has not given a permission to shift the 11:15 class to afternoon 3:30. So that is ruled out. So the classes will continue as it is. There will be a class on Bandara Day at 11:50 to 12:15. Let me make it very clear. I made a request to Swamiji. He said no. So we have to attend the class. If you people want to see, whoever has come for the first time, they can come and see for 10 minutes and come back and attend the class. Whoever wants to give dakshana, they come there. At least dakshana is in the middle of this. So whoever wants to give dakshana may not be able to attend the class. So take a decision and give me the name. Whoever wants the receipt, maybe 2, maximum 3. I can't ask them to make 10 receipts for that. So please give me the name and PAN number, address. And also whoever wants to give dakshana, please give the name so that I can accordingly arrange. Any queries, please? Pardon? 10:30 to 11:15. No, Swamiji said no change. I don't want to disrespect Swamiji, and he is final. Okay, I requested him with all my obligation. He said no. And I am sure not all of you are attending for the first time. Most of you might seen the Bandara and all. So maybe the people who are attending for the first time, like Mr. Das from Orissa, maybe they have to come and see what is Bandara. I think most of them who are attending for third or fourth time might have seen Bandara. Okay. Thank you. Any clarifications, please? Aji.
Some young organic farmers who a cold pressed mustard oil for puri and for others. If you want, I can ask their connection.
Okay.
Because typically this refined oil is used.
My dear friend, I am not here to talk anything other than what I have taken responsibility of. Okay. Any other queries? Who the cup? I think this madam wanted a receipt. I will take 1 and 2. Okay, that's all. 2 people. I will take 3, 4. No, I can't ask them to make 500 rupees receipts. I will ask them to make 2, maximum 3 receipts. So, depend. Yeah, I can ask them to make maximum 3 or 4 receipts, maybe 500, 5,000 each. Beyond that, I don't think it is fair on my part to ask them to 500 rupees receipts everybody. Sorry. Yes. Thank you.
अथ श्री दयानंद पंचकम। सदा स्मेरवक्त्रं कृपापूर्णनेत्रं स्थिरं दीनमित्रं जनप्रीतिपात्रं सुविख्यातशास्त्रं कषायाक्तवस्त्रं दयन्तरूपं मदाचार्यमीडे परब्रह्मनिष्ठं स्वतो धर्मनिष्ठं अहिंसैकनिष्ठं स्वशिष्यैः सुजुष्टं यतीनां वरिष्ठं गुरूणां गरिष्ठं दयानन्दरूपं मदाचार्यमीडे दयानन्दरूपं मदाचार्यमीडे स्मरन्तं सदा सञ्चरन्तं जनान् बोधयन्तं भवादुद्धरन्तं मठां स्थापयन्तं गुरुन् पूजयन्तं दयानन्दरूपं मदाचार्यमीडे
दयानन्दरूपं मदाचार्यमीडे
ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः शांति मंत्र ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदम् माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्माः ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः The proposition here is ekavijnanena sarvavijnanam. How the whole conversation started with the father asking the son, did you ask of your teacher about the knowledge of that entity, that truth? knowing which everything becomes known. So this is the primary theme of this whole Upanishad, is to reveal that by knowing which everything becomes known. And for that, the examples of clay, etc., were given as to how by knowing the clay, which is the material cause, you know all the vessels made of clay. And thus, the principle is by knowing the upadana karanam, material cause, you know everything that is created from that material cause because the effect is not separate from the cause. The part is not separate from clay. In fact, part is nothing but clay. Not only not separate, part is nothing but clay. That relationship is called ananyatvam. There is abhinnatvam and ananyatvam. Abhinnatvam is identity, oneness. Ananyatvam, non-separatedness. Meaning that part and clay are not identical. But part is non-separate from clay. So vyatirekena abhavaha. What is the ananyatvam? Vyatirekena abhavaha. Meaning that the part is non-existent in the absence of clay. Effect is non-existent in the absence of the material cause. This is a very important principle because regardless of what the products are, at no time are they ever away from their material cause. Thus, the pot was clay before its creation. It is clay while it is in existence, and it will be clay even when it is destroyed. So, pot is never away from clay, never separate from clay. Even though we do not say pot is clay because we are using two different names or words, pot and clay, or karya and karanam, effect and cause. Inasmuch as two separate words are used, therefore we would accept some kind of a difference between the effect and cause, between the pot and clay. But that is a difference that does not create any duality. That difference does not create duality between the pot and clay. Pot is always non-separate from clay. And therefore, and clay, pot is nothing but clay, really speaking. Therefore, knowing clay, you know the essential nature of pot. Keeping this theme in mind, Upanishad now proceeds to show how just as pots and pans are created from clay, so the universe, again we were told that these pots and pans are nothing but name and form, nama rupa. The universe also is nothing but name and form. Therefore, the example of pot, clay, and pot applies very well. That just as the various vessels made of clay are nothing but name and form superimposed upon the clay, so the universe is all names and forms superimposed upon its material cause. What is the material cause? Sadeva Somya Idamagrasi. All this universe was, before its creation, nothing but Sat or existence. Ekameva Dvidiyam. What is the nature of existence? It is one without a second. Meaning that before the creation of the universe of names and forms, there was nothing but Sat. And then, if the whole universe came into manifestation, since only entity that existed before the creation was Sat, So you would say that Sat alone has become this universe. Like clay alone has become all pots and pans. But there cannot be becoming in as much as becoming involves change or modification. And when Sat is one without a second, it is limitless. It is without Vishesha, meaning without any qualification, unqualified existence. Becomes qualified existence. So unqualified existence appears as qualified existence. This is called creation. And that being the case, what is now also is nothing but Sat. Except now Sat appears to be possessed of names and forms, or Sat appears to be mixed with names and forms, or names and forms are superimposed upon Sat. So what is now also is only Sat. But then what about all these names and forms? They have no essential reality. Vacharambhanam vikaro namadhyam. The names and forms and functions which make up the universe has no essential reality. Understand that all of this is said to help us gain the knowledge of Sat. It is not to condemn the world, not to brand the world as having, is nothing there. When what is mithya, so that is mithya, that can be dropped. Because mithya is that which is all right if it is there, is all right when it is not there. Because it's by being there does not create any difference in the basic material cause. Meaning that by letting go of what is mithya, you do not lose anything. See, by letting go of something, you lose something, then you won't let it go. And Vedanta would not want you to let go. Vedanta would not want you to let go that which is useful. But you may think it is useful, and it may not be useful. And by calling something useful, in fact, it has become a burden to you. If that's the situation, then letting go makes sense. Letting go does not make sense if I'm going to lose something by that. Although when we let go of something, it is a painful process. What creates pain in letting go is attachment. The false value that I had attached to that. I looked upon that as a source of success when it did not have. I looked upon that as a source of security and happiness which it did not have. And so what creates pain in letting go is looks like I'm letting go of some source of happiness, a source of security. That is what makes it painful. But if I realize that it was only a notion, illusion on my part that I looked upon something as a source of happiness or security or success, then there's no difficulty. So reason why Vedanta presents this prakriya of Satya and Mithya is that Mithya does not add anything to Satyam. All these, the whole world of pots and pans do not add anything to clay as far as the reality is concerned. Don't tell me about usefulness. So our attachment is because of usefulness. But Swami, what about filling water? So that is where attachment comes. By judging something on account of usefulness. But if we stick ourselves to simply the reality of the things, which is what matters, because the usefulness is something relative, it's temporary, it's conditional. Something is useful only under certain conditions, not always. But truth is unconditional, is always true and complete unconditionally. Therefore, this usefulness, which is called vyavaharika, which is the transactional reality for our giving and taking, etc., has its own place in life. We don't say the world has no place in our life, but we should give it the place that it has. When you give it a place which is greater than what it is, then it creates problem. When you give it place which is less than what it is, also creates a problem. Understand what things as they are. To help us let go of the entire universe is the whole purpose of describing universe. So that we can see the identity with Sat, which is our true nature. So only intention of the Upanishad is to help us recognize who we truly are. Because as we will see now, because of ignorance, there are all kinds of misconceptions about my own self, which is what causes suffering. And so, all the intention is to make us free from suffering and own up our true nature, which is happiness. Then you do what you want to do. But this is the purpose. Suffering is on account of you giving reality to what is mithya, and release is by recognizing mithya as mithya, that's all. Nothing is to be done. What is falsely understood has to be truly understood. So, in that light, we saw last evening how the Devata, that Sat as the Aikshata, it visualized or deliberated, may I become many, may I be born. And that's how the three elements, the fire, water, and earth, which although can stand for five elements, were created. Not really created. It is not that clay creates a pot. Clay only appears as pot. That's creation is. Not that pot is something separate from clay. When you say that clay created the pot, it means that clay became pot. No, clay appears as a pot. So when we say element fire is nothing but Sat or Satchidananda appearing as fire. And Satchidananda that now appears as fire further appears as water and further appears as earth, from which the whole universe of names and forms is made. So it will be further described. So now three elements are created: fire, water, and earth. And remember that fire is red in color, water is white in color, earth is dark in color or black in color. Now, having created the three elements, how the creation proceeds further. So this has its own prakriya of creation. This Chandogya Upanishad describes creation in its own way because it has a purpose. What is the purpose? To make us know Brahman, to help us recognize identity, to help us understand that by knowing one thing you know everything. So with that purpose, the whole prakriya is there. Every Upanishad begins with a purpose and unfolds things to serve that purpose. You follow? So purpose is one, but still Taittiriya Upanishad also wants us to recognize that you are Brahman. By knowing self as Brahman, you attain limitless. So it adopts a prakriya, panchakosha viveka, etc. Mandukya operates a different prakriya, vyavasthatraya viveka. Every Upanishad is unique in that sense that helps us to arrive at the truth, in a different way. So there is an agenda. It starts with an agenda. What's the agenda? By knowing one thing, everything becomes known. Keeping that agenda in mind, the rest of the description, unfolds. So let us look at the next passage, passage number 7. So remember that now we are told the three elements are created. Meaning that all what we call insentient things are created. As you said last evening, there are two entities in the world. One is all insentient, other is the sentient beings. So all we call jiva, all living beings, they are not that accounted for. When three elements are created, the three elements are insentient. So creation of three elements accounts for all that is insentient. But what about the sentient beings? So that also to explain how they are also not apart from Sat. The three elements and everything made of three elements not apart from Sat because Sat alone has become all that. So now you to explain that what we call this jiva or the sentient being, the Sat has become that also. You follow? Then only by knowing Sat you know both. If Sat is only three elements, then by knowing Sat you know only what is insentient. Then the sentient being still remains unknown. In that case, the proposition that you know everything by knowing Sat doesn't get fulfilled. So Upanishad also has to show how Sat has become these three elements, Sat has become the Jiva also. So that's the next one here. Sa iyam devata aikshata hanta aham imaha tisro devataha अनेन जीवेन आत्मना अनुप्रविश्य नाम रूपे व्याकरवाणी इति सा इयं devata. Again sa is a pronoun. By the way, this is feminine. So that devata, just for your information, that devata is a feminine word. So here God is described as sa. Understand that. Just for satisfaction, It's not always saha. There is a complaint all the time they use masculine. So Upanishad takes care of that also. So sa iyam devata. Because devata, word devata is feminine. And they have chosen to use the word devata instead of deva. Sa iyam devata. Sadakya, what was called Sat, the same devata. Aikshata. Again visualize. What happened? It's already visualized earlier, but visualization continues. Meaning that as the visualization happens, the creation happens. Creation is no more than sankalpa. All that is necessary here is that it visualize it, it sees, and creation happens. See in dream, for example. Kamam kamam purusho nirmimanaha. Kathopanishad says that in dream, as the desire arises in you, the creation takes place. You desire a mountain, mountain is there. Is there an elephant? Elephant is there. Is it not so in dream? No? It is. Because when you say, I don't know, see in India, when you say yes, then you do this. When you do that means no, by the way. Every country may its own convention. When you say nah, then I say, oh, he doesn't accept me, So when you do this, then I say, all right, you are in agreement with me. Somebody did research, and in South they do it differently, in North they do it differently, and then so you have to know what exactly all these gestures mean. So Aikshata, this devata visualization continues because all that you need for creation is visualization or sankalpa, nothing more than that. Otherwise you need a whole machinery and stuff like that. But when can this devata be the nimitta and upadana karanam? When it takes no effort at all to really create, you don't need any stuff to create. As in dream, all you need is a thought. And so how they describe is Lord Vishnu, Narayana is lying down on his serpent bed and Goddess Lakshmi is massaging his feet. Whether you like this picture or not, I mean, all the time, why Lakshmi should massage the feet? Don't ask me those questions. The Swami does Narayana massage, that someday that may be inside, we don't know. Outwardly, this is like this. It may very well be. Then internally, he may be massaging her feet, which always is the case. But outwardly, it's like this. That she is massaging his feet. And Lord Narayana tells her a story. He says, yes. He says something? Yes. And he says things that created. Nothing more than that is required. Because Sankalpa, Sankalpa Srishti, from Sankalpa, from the very thought, the creation takes place. Therefore, Aikshata, all that is needed is to visualize in the mind. You have the picture, it just becomes the outward creation. So that visualization, the Sankalpa continues. Having created the three elements now, what next is to be done? Hanta, let it be. Imaha tisraha devataha anena jivena atmana anupravishya. See the translation. That deity which is such, now which has created the three elements. So visualize, this sankalpa. Hanta, let it be. Now, imaha tisroho devata anupravishya, by entering. Now three elements are called three devatas again. So many devatas are there. What is first devata? Sat is the devata. Now these three elements, fire, water, earth, are also called devata. Why? Why should they be called devata? Because she alone is there in that form, understand? That devata, namely Sat, alone is in this form. Therefore, he says, now what should I do? I will enter these three devatas. So, anupravishya, entering imaha tisraha devataha, these three devatas, these three gods, the three elements. But how do you enter? What is meant by entry? It says, anena jivena atmana. All these are very important statements, really, which are oft quoted. But this form the basic bedrock of Vedanta, these statements here, from which the whole edifice of Vedanta is constructed. The Acharya, Sri Shankara, others developed, created the whole, the prakriyas and structure of Vedanta. That all has basis in these and similar statements. Anena jivena atmana anupravishya. I will enter these three of them as the jiva, as atma of the jiva. Jivena atma. Not as my own self. The Sat, you can call it Brahma, you can call it Paramatma, you can call it God, or whatever you want to call it. Says, I will now enter these three elements as Jivatma. Here the question is, why did this Devata, namely Param Brahma, Paramatma, decide to enter these three elements? It is like deliberately entering a prison. Doesn't it know that entering these three elements, being identified with the three elements, is all samsara, that in fact it is trying to accomplish only samsara and invite suffering from itself. Does it not know? If Paramatma is here, if Paramatma has entered here, then who is experiencing pleasure and pain? Paramatma, is it not so? Who is sad? Paramatma. Who is samsari? Paramatma. So Paramatma being what he is omniscient, all-knowing, How can he deliberately enter here knowing very well that it is only going to result into misery? Why should he do that? This question why, has no answer. Why, Swamiji? I don't know. So what we do not cannot explain, understand. In fact, Vedanta says nothing is explicable. Nothing in the creation can really be explained. Up to a certain point you can explain, and then even scientists also they explain what matter is and its energy, and then it goes out of your sight, and then you imagine what it would be. But there is science because it's all, they are trying to make sense out of Maya. Vedanta already declared is mithya. Vedanta has declared mithya means what? Anirvachaniya, meaning that you cannot say it is this and not that. This is said on moment you call anirvachan. Nirvachanam means definition. For its definition is this and not that. You cannot say that about this creation, about anything. What atom also, is it mass, mass, or is it velocity, or what? Nothing can be said. So that is what Vedanta's this prakriya is, at mithyatva. And the cause of mithya is maya. So question, what is maya? Maya is that which causes mithya. And therefore, what is the answer? Why did Paramatma decide to deliberately enter into this junk, into this all misery, into this fire, into prison? Who knows? They asked me why. I said, ask God, because He did it. But there is one saving grace here. Anena jivena atmana anupravishya. I will enter this three. Before that, there is also one step, which is described subsequently. The three elements are subdivided. Some of you may know the process of Panchikaranam. The Taittiriya Upanishad describes five elements: space, air, fire, water, and earth. If you study Tattva Bodha, then you know that these are all created from the original cause, Maya, which has three gunas: Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Call it Maya, Prakriti, made up of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, from which these five elements are created. So effect is carries the same attributes of the cause. Therefore, these five elements also inherit Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. So element space has Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. So does element air, fire, water, earth. Each of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. And then from Sattva aspect, all the Sattva is conducive to knowledge. Therefore, from Sattva aspect of the five elements, all faculties of knowledge are created. You know what are our faculties of knowledge? We know things through the organs of perception. We have how many organs of perception? Five. Corresponding aspect of the element space, the faculty of hearing, Shrotrendriya. From the Sattva aspect of element air, the faculty of touch. From Sattva aspect of element fire, the faculty of sight. Sattva aspect of element water, faculty of taste. From Sattva aspect of element earth, faculty of smell. This is the, and then from the combined Sattva aspect, all five elements, our Antahkaranam, the mind. Then comes the Rajoguna, Rajas. So Rajas is activity. Sattva is knowledge, Rajas is activity. So from the Rajas aspect of five elements, all the organs of action are created. From Rajas aspect of element space, You know what is created? Which organ of action is created? Speech. Speech is the product of the rajas aspect of element space. Then comes element. After space, what's the next element? Air. So from the rajas aspect of element air is created hands or arms. From the rajas aspect of element, because air is strength and arms as action, element, the rajas aspect element fire is created what? The faculty of motion, legs. Rajas aspect of element water, the organ of creation, procreation, and from this rajas aspect element earth, the organ of excretion. So these are five organs of action created from the rajas aspect of the five elements. So what happens to tamas aspect? Then it is said that the tamas aspect of these elements undergoes mutual combination, a fivefold combination. I don't want to burden you with all kinds of details, but just in general, you may not remember the details. But so you know how the creation is explained. How five elements is what makes everything. So now, still, all these elements are in a subtle state. When these elements are first created, they are called tanmatras, meaning that they are in pure state, subtle state. But how about this gross? So our subtle body is created from the subtle aspects, sattva, rajas of these five elements. Now what the gross body is created from what? And the gross objects from the tamas aspect of the five elements. So what happens, as I explained, the tamas aspect of five elements, they undergo a combination and become fivefold called panchikaranam. So you take element space, divide into half, two halves. Second half divide into 1/8 each, and then distribute to others. So thus we have the combination of five elements in which every element is 50%, and other four elements are 1/8. How many percent? 12.5%. Half and 1/8 of each. So when you say element space, supposedly it is space half and 1/8 of air, fire, water, earth. Element air, the gross element air, has half of the air, 1/8 of the other four. It's called Panchikaram. This Upanishad has only three elements. So it's called Trivratkaram. It stands for Panchikaram, but Trivratkaram is threefold combination. In that case, you'll have element fire, half element fire, 1/4 water, 1/4 earth. Half element water, 1/4 fire, and 1/4 earth. Then earth, half element earth, 1/4 fire, 1/4 water. Right, very good. So each element does all the three, but it is called by the name of that which is predominant part. You follow? Otherwise, what name will you give? All of them contain all the three. But the name fire is given because fire is a predominant element in that. So this is what is done. And now this Devata says, let me enter into this. Anena jivena atma anupravishya. We enter these elements now, same elements, fire, water and earth. Except now fire is what? The grossified fire, grossified water, grossified earth, in which now there is intermixture of other elements also. That's what creates the gross world. I will enter them as Jivatma. This is a dangerous thing. Why did God do that? I don't know. This is where samsara began. Up to then it was okay. Samsara began when somehow there was this sankalpa or this kind of a resolve or a thought or the idea that may I enter into these three elements as Jivatma. Entering itself is not bad, really speaking. You know something? This is like an actor deciding to enter a costume. The actor himself is a wealthy person, maybe a billionaire, and decides to enter a costume of a beggar. All right. He's so you may ask him, why do you want to become a beggar? But he doesn't become the beggar. But entering the costume of beggar, he does not become the beggar. It's a play, isn't it? So a play, this is all right. Only problem comes is that this person actually entered the costume of beggar for play, and then what happened? He became identified with that. That is where the problem came. So Vedanta talks of ignorance as a basic problem. Ignorance has two aspects. One is called avaranam, other is called vikshepa. Avaranam means veiling, vikshepa means projecting. What it means is that when this actor identifies with the costume and thinks that I'm a beggar, then he really thinks that he's a beggar. So when this notion I'm a beggar is created, there are two elements there. One is he does not know that he is actor, the wealthy person. That's called avaram, ignorance. It doesn't stop there. On the other hand, he takes himself to a beggar. This is called viksheva. Not only do I not know that limitlessness is my nature, but then I take myself to be a limited being. This is the problem. This is called adhyasa. In Vedanta, you call it superimposition or adhyasa. Comes from identification, taking something else to be myself. Like the actor taking the costume to be himself and thinking that I'm beggar. He thinks in his mind. Now understand that to suffer as a beggar, you don't have to become beggar. You have to think that you're a beggar. Understand this. For this person now to feel miserable, deprived, poor, impoverished, helpless, he doesn't have to become beggar. All that is necessary is for him to think that I'm a beggar. Is it not so? This is Vedanta. Vedanta says that just because I'm suffering doesn't mean that there has to be a real cause for suffering. No, this fellow is weeping, crying, begging, feeling helpless, feeling insulted, is miserable. Who? This beggar. Who is he? The millionaire, billionaire. So for him to suffer a sense of impoverishment, I have nothing, I have no food today, I'm hungry, nobody cares for me, etc., etc., and thus he feels miserable. Not because he's a beggar, but because he thinks that he's a beggar. If a real beggar suffers, it's understandable. But a person who is a non-beggar, meaning what? Who is opposite to the beggar, who is a billionaire, when he suffers. So this is the Vedanta's explanation of all sorrow in our life. This is what explains the cause of samsara. Anupravisha may enter these three elements. From three elements, the body and the upadhi is made. Three elements, five elements. So from the five elements, our body, mind, sense complex is made, as we explained. From the sattva aspect, organs of perception and mind. From the rajas aspect, organs of action and prana. Tamas aspect, this gross body. So those three elements, the five elements have undergone transformation to become this upadhi. This is a costume. Similar to the costume of an actor, this is no more than a costume. And when this Devata, this Param Brahma or Paramatma or Sat says that let it be that I enter, that even a king also can say, king also can play a role, he can, it is will. Is it not so? Why should the king is free to do what he wants to do and therefore he wants to play, let us say, participate in a play, and he can become a beggar also. Because he is free to do what he wants. Similarly, this Devata also is free. And that there's no one to ask him, why do you do that? It's just free to do what it wants. And therefore, this costume is all ready from those 3 elements or 5 elements. We'll confine to 3 elements here, but you understand 5 elements in your mind. Because 3 elements do not explain everything. But it explains what this Upanishad wants to do, by the way, as we'll see further. And so, this costume is created. What is meant by entry now? That's another thing. This pravesha or entry is a very important concept of Vedanta or Upanishads. So how do we explain samsara? How do we explain that Paramatma is suffering from samsara? So when Upanishad says you are Brahman, that means Brahman is suffering from samsara, is it not so? Remember the 10th man story now? So when that old person says, you are the 10th man, that means now who was suffering up to this point, thinking the 10th man is lost and what's and all worries and anxieties and searching for the 10th man, and thus whole day was miserable, is it not so? And more miserable because you cannot find what you're searching for. That makes life more miserable. Constantly we are searching for success and happiness and peace and love. We are all searching for it. And looks like it has come. And then again goes away. Looks like love has come. It's gone away. Looks success has come. Gone away. So all the disappointment in life is on account of not accomplishing what we want to accomplish, except that we are trying to accomplish it from where it is not. This 10th man is searching for the 10th man where he is not. How is he ever going to find him? How can human being ever be happy? Nobody can tell me he is happy unless he knows. So this man comes to Swami, how are you doing? No problem, Swami. That is the problem. You don't realize what the problem is. We don't want to say that you are miserable. But what I'm saying is, some don't even know what samsara is. No, I have no problem, Swami. Do you get angry? Yes, that I do. Do you feel jealous? Yeah, that I do. Do you sometimes take liberty? Yes, I do. That is all nothing but samsara. Then a person gets angry means there is samsara. There is sadness inside. He gets jealous means there is sadness inside. He wants to accomplish this, that, and what not. Lobha, pravritti, all greed, all of this is nothing but samsara. Which I may not know, but it's all sadness. The sadness which is within manifests all this stuff. We think everything is okay. But so as long as we think it's okay, we'll never try to even change things or even try, only when I recognize things are not okay. I don't have a solution, then only I go to Vedanta. So when do we go to Vedanta is when we realize that there is some problem. So that is why Swami used to say, first job that a teacher does was to make the student recognize there is a problem in life. Because I knew when we went there, what's the problem? I didn't see any problem. So first thing that Swami did was to show us there is a problem. And I said, yeah. Do you have a desire? Yeah. Desire means that you are seeking something. Yes. Then he told on the second day or third day, the 10th man story. The seeking of human beings is like the seeking of 10th man. So wow, on the second day. And then stop there. That was the style. He would not, then he would leave you hanging, you see. So then I was wondering, what happened? What will happen now to this fellow? Then came the third, you are the 10th man. Wow. So they say, what did you get from Veda? I said, this is what I got. That's all. What's your, this is my experience. I did not need anything more than that anyway. I mean, if you are searching, you are, what are you searching? What do you need now? I was happy because lazy basically. So I was happy to realize nothing used to be done, you know. That is why it was very comforting to me that I don't have to do anything. Anyway, but when this is being said, that means that who was suffering all along? When the beggar is to, hey, you are a wealthy person, you are an actor, not a beggar. So this is pravesha or entry is a prakriya that Vedanta used to explain how the one who thinks there is suffering is really above suffering. That there is no cause for suffering, even when I think there is all the causes in the world. We always have reasons. This one. So Swami would ask, you look sad this morning. What's the problem? Swami, I haven't received a letter from my relatives for 3 months. Oh, my parents. No letter for 3 months. You look sad. What's it? Swami, I received a letter this morning. You look sad. What is it? Swami, I can't get married. What's your reason? Because I am married. Why are you sad? No children, Swamiji. Why are you sad? Because of children, you know. Point is that we always look outside ourselves for cause of sadness, not realizing that. So he says, you are the problem, you are the solution. So in that, Swami, you give an example. Imagine there is some kind of an eight, some kind of a shape, and this thing is cut in a number of pieces. Now you are asked to assemble, make an eight out of that, and you try hard, you can't do it, can't get it. So you think that you need some pieces outside of this to complete this. But no, there are some problems of which the solution lies outside the problem. There are some problems which solution lies within the problem. That eight, what kind of problem is it? The solution lies within the problem. All you need to do is to arrange things in a certain way. So sadness, what kind of problem is it? Is it a problem which the solution lies outside? That's what we think. No, it's a problem which the solution lies within. Therefore, you are the problem and you are the solution. That's Vedanta. To explain that this is being said, the Devata deliberated may enter as Jivatma. Meaning that one who is here is Jiva. Who is the Jiva? Jivena Atmana, the Atma of Jiva is the same Sat. Then what do you mean by saying that I enter as a Jiva? Meaning that I enter and identify with this body, mind, sense complex. So who is a Jiva? Jiva is the same Sat identified with the body, mind, sense complex. Who is this beggar? The same billionaire identified with the costume of the beggar. That's all. That's the saving grace. Only Vedanta says this. That solution is right with you. Ideally, don't do anything. Just see the fact. That's all. That's called knowledge. See the fact of yourself. What is it? You're not a beggar. Beggar land belongs to your costume, not to you. You think you are a beggar because you take the costume to yourself. But where does beggar belong? I am a beggar when I say that I am is one part, beggar is a part. I put them in the same adhikaranam, in Vedanta, samana adhikaranyam. In the same locus. I am a beggar. There's a little technical thing, but then that I am and beggar, when I say I am a beggar, understand this, that I am and beggar in my mind enjoy the same degree of reality. When I say I am a beggar, you know what means? Beggar enjoys the same degree of reality as I am. Is it so? When this actor says I am a beggar, does I am and beggar, do they enjoy the same degree of reality? What is I am? I am is a billionaire. Who is beggar? Beggar is a costume. He's lumped them together. And now he says, I am a beggar and suffers from being a beggar because beggar has been lifted to the level of I am. Beggar is there, but not where I am is. You understand? Beggar is someplace. Where is I am? I am is a billionaire actor. Where is beggar? Beggar is in the costume. When I say I am beggar, that means that I am raising this beggar to the level of I am, or I am lowering the I am to the level of beggar by equating the two. This is wrong equation. So we are living life based on a wrong equation. So right equation, you are Brahman. So that is the equation is changed. Our Swami used to call it the what is it? The grand equation, something like that. What was some, Tattvamasi. Anyway, because we have an equation in life, therefore equation is necessary. This is a wrong equation. What is it? I am a jiva. Meaning, I am the one, I was born, I'm growing, I'm getting old, I'm going to die. I'm limited, insignificant, one among many. Swami, nobody bothers about, nobody cares for me, nobody asks me. Millions of things. If they start asking you, then also you have other complaints. Too many people are asking me, Swami, what should I do? How to handle? If they ask, then also problem. Don't ask, then also problem. If they honor you, then also problem. Because what to do with the honor now? How to own up that honor? It's a big, big burden. They don't honor, then also problem. Honor, everything is a problem. Or I can convert everything into a problem. Because basic problem is here, inside. So because basic problem is centered upon I transform everything into a problem. We have to understand problems in this manner. That's the only way that we can become free from that. It is not that by changing something that problem will be solved. Its face will change. That's all. What we do is we go from one situation to another, hoping that we'll be free. But as long as this same fellow comes there, he'll do the same thing there, isn't it? The fellow who converted this situation to a problem will convert other situations because that is his nature, to convert a situation to a problem. So understand the profundity of Vedanta, the simplicity of Vedanta as well as profoundness of Vedanta. Very simple. If you understand where the problems are coming from, there's no reason to any Nashochanan Vasojastvam. Arjuna, you are grieving for no reason at all. Grieving for whom? Grieving for what? There's nothing in the universe that deserves to be grieved for. But everything is, you are grieving for Bhishma and Drona. They're not grieving. You think that what will happen when they die? They don't care. It's all your imagination, your projection. Anyway, so this is what Vedanta is. And to explain the samsara, this way it is explained. This Devata said that I will enter as Jivatma. So what is the entry? And a lot of discussions at the end. Taittiriya Upanishad is a long discussion, but that also is praveshakam. Tat srishtva tadevanu praveshada. Similarly, praveshakam is Aitiriya Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, this Chandogya Upanishad. It's called pravesha shruti, meaning shruti means statement of the Upanishad which talks of pravesha or entry. It cannot be entry like Devadatta entering a house. Entry in a primary sense is not possible because entry is when Devadatta enters a house. When can Devadatta enter a house? When he is not already in the house. Is it not so? Devadatta can enter the house when he is not already in the house. But can you say that space has entered this pot? Imagine. Space decided, may I enter this pot? What do you mean? The space existed before pot was. Space is within the pot, already there when the pot is. So space already in the pot, is not so? And still says, space says, may I enter the pot? Let it be that I enter this pot as a Jivatma, as pot space. What is Jivatma? Pot space. What is pot space? Pot space is space identifying with the pot. So what is meant by entry of space into pot is That space identifies the part. What is meant by that? The space thinks that I'm confined to the part. That's called part space. Is there a part space? Is there such a thing as part space? What is part space? Space confined to the part. It's called part space, right? And then another little thing, whatever you call it, another space. As many enclosures are there, this is called matha, mathakasha. This is called matha. Matha means a hall or, mathakasha. Ghatakasha, patakasha, mathakasha. Ghatapada matha. I told you the other day, you know. So this is what Vedanta, Ghatapada matha, then tak, 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 tak. And then it is so fast that you lose track of things. Because this class is simple, but when you go to real scholars and things like that, when they talk, your head goes round and round. Anyway, but what is meant by the space entering the part? It's already there. Jivena Atmana. The space says may enter the part, may space enter the part as part space, meaning that may he will identify with the part. What is entry of the space in the part? Identification of space with the part. And now a notion is created that of part space. Space thinks that I am just confined to the part. Then what? Then this little thing, this space thinks I am confined to this part. So one part space, other part space A, Swami's words, part space B. Now when they come, confront each other, then what will happen? These fellows think that I'm just insignificant, little, so small I am. Look at how lucky this is, how big it is. I wish I was like that. When two things are there, they will always compare. Assuming there is a human brain, other than human being, nobody compares, thank God. So there's no samsara. Jealousy is only human being. The human being compares. So if this thing had a human, our Swami said, if it had a human mind, it would be a samsari. But nobody is human mind, thank God. So dogs and cats are not samsaris, understand? They don't have sadness. They don't have depression. They don't suffer unless we make them our pets and then we infuse our qualities in them. And then our pets have depression. That is understandable. But street dogs have no depression. Only human mind is capable of creating samsara and suffering. That is the kind of thing. Why, Swami? That's it. I can give the prakriya of how this happens. Our not knowing the true nature of the self. The space doesn't know that I'm limitless, I'm all pervading. And vikshepa, that I'm just confined to a part. Then there are how many spaces there? Countless spaces. One space divides into countless numbers. Indivisible divides as though, is it not so? Spaces cannot be divided. But feels I'm divided. You don't have to really divide it. You don't have to become a part space. Just think that I'm a part space. That's enough to make the space miserable. Because the vast, all pervading space, think that I'm confined to this, you can imagine. It's just miserable. Similarly, limitless Sat entered here, meaning what? Identified with this body, mind, sense complex, which is like a costume. And like an actor thinking that I'm a beggar, this Sat says I'm a Jiva. Jiva Pranadharane, I'm the sustainer of life here. So two things are there, that on account of Sat or Brahman or consciousness entering as though here, this body became sentient. So that's the view of sentient beings, and this that has not entered in that manner here, so this is insentient. It is entered here also. But entry is different. Jiva and Atmana. Here it is entered as Jiva Atma. What is Jiva? Jiva Pranadharane in Sanskrit. Jiva means to sustain life. So here it enters as a sustainer of life, and therefore this body has become sentient. So this is how Upanishad explains the difference between the sentient and insentient entities. That insentient entities are those where the Sat has not entered as a Jiva. Sentient entities are those where Sat has entered as Jivatma. So these fellows who know some, there is no jiva in here. Sat is there, not as jiva. Sat is there as jiva. You follow? That's the difference. Difference between the insentient and sentient entities is Sat is everywhere, but here in particular, in what we call sentient being, Sat is a jivatma, having identified with this upadhi, body, mind, sense complex. In that also, all there are jivas. All living are jivas. But who are samsaris? Human beings are samsaris. So jiva need not be a samsari. You follow? And jiva need not be a samsari. The two fellows are not samsaris. Who are they? All creatures other than human beings are not samsaris. And among human beings, a wise person is not samsari. Pashvadivischa avisheshat. It is said in Brahma Sutra that a wise person can be compared to an animal. Oh, an animal? Inasmuch as animal is not a samsari. No kartrutva, no bhoktrutva. And wise person also is not a samsara. In that sense, not that he's become an animal or something. Animals are free from samsara because they are too dumb to be a samsari. They're not smart enough to be samsaris. Human being is very smart, and smarter you are, more miserable you are sometimes. Because the Pandita is a problem always. Pandit Lakshanam Dosha Darshanam. So when you are a Pandita in something, like Vyakaranam, then they will only listen to the talk and say, where Swamiji made a mistake in Vyakaranam, this, some construction of sun, this, that. If you are a Vedic Pandit, then when you listen to chanting, tick, 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 tick. If you are a great musician, when somebody is singing, he doesn't listen to that, he just very mysteries, Shruti and this and Tala, etc. Dosha Darshanam. This fellow keeps on looking at doshas. First his own dosha. First I look at my dosha. From there, dosha of samsara. And that is what makes this person miserable. And so only human being is samsari. But when I become free from this identification, then I'm a jiva all right, but not a samsari. So to be jiva is okay. To be samsari is the problem. To be human being is all right. To be samsari is the problem. So wise person is jiva all right. He's not Ishvara. But like Ishvara is not samsari, wise person also is not samsari. But still, wise person is not Ishvara. He's not omniscient, omnipotent, etc. No, you have to be. I would not want to bother about it. Swami, I can create the world and I don't want to bother about it. Our Bada Swami, somebody asked, Swami, you can read my mind? He said, I have a problem with my own mind. I don't care to read your mind. I have no problem with my mind. So unnecessary stuff you don't want to invite. Keep simple. Remain simple. Why do you want those stuff? Because everything that comes always brings its burden with its baggage. Everything that comes, all siddhis or accomplishments always bring a baggage. Nothing comes free. So better don't invite anything. Anyway, that's by the way. But the thing is, so one of the ways of at least remaining free as much as you can from the burden of samsara. So this is how, in these passages, Upanishad explains the samsara, how samsara came about. We'll continue. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha Hari Om